The Sussexes betray the king. Now, following the Highgrove House summit in which Harry, Meghan, Archie and Lily had afternoon tea with King Charles and Queen Camilla with a strict order from the king for this meeting to be private,
In royal life, access is a currency. It is not just a room, a handshake, a cup of tea, or a family photograph kept in a drawer. Access to the monarch tells the outside world that a person still matters. It says the door is not fully closed. It says there is still a line, however damaged, between the private family and the public institution. That is why the latest Meghan and Harry controversy is not really about one dinner party in California. It is about whether the Sussexes understand the value of silence and whether King Charles can risk giving them private access without seeing that access turned back into public material. The story begins with a private reunion at Highgrove House on the 10th of July 2026. King Charles and Queen Camilla met Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet at the King's Gloucestershire home. It was not a public royal engagement. It was not a balcony moment. It was not a press call. It was a family meeting. And according to reporting at the time, the whole point was that it should remain private. Charles had not seen Archie and Lilibet in person since the Platinum Jubilee period in 2022. So the meeting carried real emotional weight. A grandfather seeing young grandchildren after years of distance, a father reopening a narrow channel with a son who had spent years criticizing the family, and a monarch trying to balance personal feeling against institutional risk. That balance is the whole drama. For Charles, the reunion offered hope. For Harry, it offered legitimacy. For Meghan, it offered something even more commercially valuable. Proof that she was not permanently outside the royal circle. No matter how private the meeting was meant to be, the symbolism was impossible to miss.
American public life of American culture. Does she need to lie about Meghan Markle? She's saying that although they only spoke a few words at this posh dinner,
Meghan had returned to royal property, the children had entered the king's home, Camilla was present. The family had sat together under the roof of Highgrove, a house tied deeply to Charles's private life and to Harry's childhood memories. In royal language, that is not a small thing. It is a signal. But signals become dangerous when they are handled by people who have built a business around interpretation. Harry and Meghan have spent years telling their side of the royal story through interviews, a Netflix documentary, a memoir, podcasts, statements, and carefully chosen photographs. They have claimed privacy while also turning private pain into public narrative. That history means every new private meeting with the royal family comes with one crucial question. Will this remain inside the family, or will it eventually become content? That question came roaring back after Martha Stewart's remarks. Stewart said in a People interview that she had recently attended a California dinner party where Meghan was also a guest, and that Meghan had just returned from what Stewart called the palace. Stewart said she barely spoke to Meghan herself, but she understood that Meghan was talking about the recent trip. The wording was not a detailed allegation of a leak. Stewart did not claim Meghan repeated intimate conversations with Charles, gave away private health information, or revealed anything sensational from inside Highgrove. Still, because the Highgrove meeting had been presented as strictly private, even the suggestion that Meghan was discussing the trip at a dinner party was enough to set off alarm bells. Then came the denial. A source who hosted the dinner party told people that Stewart's account was simply untrue, saying Meghan did not talk about the European vacation except to say that the family had a great time. That matters. A responsible version of this story has to include both sides. Martha Stewart's recollection raised the concern. Another person in the room disputed it. So the point is not that Meghan has been proven to have betrayed the king. The point is that the Sussexes now live under such deep suspicion that even an ambiguous dinner party remark becomes a test of whether they can be trusted with royal privacy. That is a very different problem from ordinary celebrity gossip. Most public figures can survive someone saying they chatted too much at a dinner party. For Meghan and Harry, the same allegation strikes the central weakness in their royal relationship. Trust is not an accessory in this story. Trust is the entire foundation. If Charles is going to see them again, if the children are going to spend more time in Britain, if Harry is going to rebuild any kind of family connection, the palace has to believe that private conversations will stay private. The moment that belief collapses, reconciliation becomes almost impossible. This is why the presence of Queen Camilla at Highgrove was so interesting.
I believe that the Harry and Meghan professional divorce is over, and now they know they need each other because they're so desperate. And it's all about those royal connections. And so, surprise, surprise, according to Martha Stewart, I don't know why she would lie. Of course, the Sussexes will deny these allegations. But according to Martha Stewart, Meghan is sat there with all of these influential elite people in California, not just millionaires, actual billionaires.
Reports suggested that Charles wanted Camilla by his side, partly as emotional support. That makes sense. The king has been undergoing cancer treatment, and the Harry situation has been a source of obvious stress. Camilla has been his partner through the most difficult years of his reign so far: the Queen's death, the transition to the throne, the Andrew crisis, Catherine's health battle, his own cancer diagnosis, and the continuing Sussex problem. But commentators also noted that Camilla's presence created another benefit. It meant the king was not alone in the room. After years of contested recollections, there was another senior royal witness to the tone and content of the meeting. That sounds cold if you think only in family terms. A father meeting his son should not need witnesses. A grandfather seeing his grandchildren should not require institutional risk management. But the modern Windsor family no longer has the luxury of innocence. After the Oprah interview, after Spare, after the Netflix series, after years of briefing wars and contradictory accounts, the palace cannot treat every private Sussex interaction as merely private. The family history has become evidence. Any conversation can later be quoted, reframed, or emotionally reinterpreted. That is why the famous palace response to the Oprah interview, "Recollections may vary," still hangs over everything. The Highgrove meeting, therefore, became a kind of royal stress test. Could Harry and Meghan accept a private family gesture without converting it into public value? Could they resist the temptation to let the world know exactly how much access they had been given? Could they allow Charles to be a grandfather without making the king a prop in their redemption story? Those questions are not cruel. They are practical. The Sussexes left royal duty, but they never left the power of royal association.
On his way to the grave of your late mother-in-law, why would you publicize? You do it. Of course you do it. Why would you publicize that? It's creepy. It's dark. It's just as dark as going to Australia on a fake royal tour and hugging the victims of Bondi Beach, one of the worst atrocities in the history of Australia. It's just as dark as going to a children's hospital and posing for selfies with sick kids.
Every time they get close to the institution again, that association becomes commercially and reputationally useful. Meghan's own public image makes that especially sensitive. Her lifestyle brand, as ever, is built around taste, domesticity, intimacy, and a carefully polished version of personal warmth. But it also benefits from her title. She is not simply another founder selling preserves, candles, dessert toppings, or curated California living. She is Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. The title creates immediate interest. It brings glamour, controversy, and global recognition. It also creates a contradiction. The woman who said royal life was damaging still uses the royal aura as part of her public power. Martha Stewart's remarks landed hard, because Stewart is exactly the kind of figure Meghan appears to be trying to become. Stewart built an empire on practical authority. Her brand rests on the idea that she knows how things are made, arranged, cooked, planted, folded, served, and sold. She is not merely famous in a kitchen, she earned her place there over decades. So when Stewart questioned Meghan's move from actress to duchess to homemaking guru, she was touching a deeper issue than taste. She was asking whether Meghan has the knowledge authenticity, and credibility required to lead a lifestyle brand, that is a painful comparison for Meghan. With love, Meghan earned awards recognition and kept her in the lifestyle conversation, but formal recognition does not automatically equal trust. Viewers may enjoy the visuals and still wonder whether Meghan is teaching from expertise or performing expertise, as ever can sell products. But the bigger question is whether customers see the brand as useful beyond curiosity. A royal title can make people look once. It cannot make them reorder forever. Martha Stewart's brand was built from repetition, competence, and proof.
The fantastic royal journalist is on the record, Phil, as saying the reason why Queen Camilla was in attendance at Highgrove House was to offer emotional support to Charles, but perhaps more importantly, to be a witness, because the issue we've got with the Sussexes is they don't have a history of being discreet, and things that have been said on royal property in the past.
Meghan's brand still feels like it is asking the audience to believe before the proof is settled. That is why royal access matters so much to the Sussex commercial machine. If Meghan can be seen as fully outside the palace, the Duchess title becomes more like a souvenir. If she can be seen as partly inside again, the title regains heat. A private tea with King Charles is not just family contact, it becomes proof of proximity. It tells Hollywood, streaming platforms, publishers, event organizers, and consumers that Meghan is not yesterday's royal story. She is still connected to the center. She can still walk back into the king's world. That kind of symbolism is valuable, and Meghan surely understands that. To be clear, understanding symbolism is not a crime. Every royal understands symbolism. Catherine understands it. William understands it. Charles has spent his life inside it. The difference is that working royals are supposed to use symbolism on behalf of the crown. Harry and Meghan use royal symbolism while operating independently and commercially. That is where the line blurs. When Meghan posts images from Europe after a private royal visit, including moments from Portugal and Althorp, the public naturally asks whether she is simply sharing family memories or quietly reminding everyone that the Sussexes are still tied to royal history, royal houses, and Diana's legacy. The Althorp imagery is particularly delicate. Althorp is not just a grand estate. It is the Spencer family seat and the place where Princess Diana is buried. Any visit there by Harry, Meghan, and their children carries emotional weight. It is understandable that Harry would want his children to know their grandmother's story and, in time, to visit the place connected to her memory. That is a private family matter and should be treated with respect.
To a princess, and then from a princess into a homemaking guru on a television show, it doesn't sort of follow. So go from there. Yikes. She also said, commenting on Meghan's lifestyle brand, authenticity to me is everything. She said, Meghan, I don't really know very well, and I hope she knows what she's talking about. Yikes!
Concern arises only when images connected to that private pilgrimage appear in a public feed. Once shared, the moment is no longer only memory. It becomes part of the Sussex image strategy, whether that was the intention or not. This is the recurring Sussex pattern: private emotion, public signal. A child visiting Diana's resting place is intimate. A photograph from that journey is symbolic. A family holiday is ordinary. A curated Instagram sequence is branding. A meeting with the king is reconciliation. A whisper of that meeting at a California dinner party becomes status. Harry and Meghan may feel that critics are always reading too much into everything, but the couple have taught the public to read the clues. They have used imagery, timing, captions, interviews, and controlled revelations for years. Once a brand is built on narrative, every silence and every post becomes part of the narrative. Harry should understand the stakes better than anyone. He grew up inside the monarchy. He knows the value of discretion. He knows that private royal conversation is not ordinary conversation. Yet his own record is part of the problem. Spare turned family life into global content. The Oprah interview turned private allegations into an international crisis. The Netflix documentary invited cameras into their story of escape. Even smaller moments, such as public remarks about his father's health or accounts of how meetings felt, can create the impression that Harry struggles to leave private matters private when emotion is involved. That does not mean Harry is always wrong to speak. Some parts of his story are genuinely painful, and he has a right to discuss his life. But a right to speak is not the same as wisdom in speaking. If he wants reconciliation, he needs to show that he can separate healing from content.
Beforehand, there was all this business about whether or not Harry was going to stay at Buckingham Palace, and it was all left to the last moment. But they did finally meet up. I have to put my hands up and say I never thought Meghan would come back to the UK, but she did. And they met up. I'm sure the King was delighted to meet his grandchildren, who he hasn't seen for about 4 or 5 years. Archie and Lilibet talking away with American accents, doubtless, which might have come as a bit of a surprise to him. But to all intents and purposes, they had a nice time. They had tea, probably. And, it was a very, very sort of important first step if there is going to be any kind of reconciliation between them. But it was...
A son can speak privately to his father. A prince can support charities. A father can bring his children to see their grandfather. But if every step becomes material for media interpretation, the family will never relax around him. The door may open, but only an inch. The Associated Newspaper's defeat made this harder for Harry. In July 2026, the High Court dismissed claims brought by Harry and other high-profile figures against the Daily Mail's publisher over alleged unlawful information gathering. The judgment was a major legal and reputational setback, and Associated Newspapers said it would seek to recover costs. For Harry, who has made press accountability a defining mission, the ruling weakened the image of a prince steadily winning a moral war against the tabloids. It also added to the sense that his public life has become too dominated by conflict. That matters because reconciliation with the royal family cannot be built on conflict alone. Harry may see himself as fighting for truth, safety, and justice, but the palace sees risk. His legal battles, security claims, public statements, and commercial projects all feed the impression that his life outside the monarchy is unstable. If Charles is trying to bring him closer, he is not simply reconciling with a son. He is managing a moving media ecosystem around that son. Harry does not arrive alone. He arrives with lawyers, headlines, streaming history, memoir history, Meghan's brand, social media speculation, and a global audience waiting for clues. Invictus is the one area where Harry's public purpose remains strongest. The Games are a genuine achievement and a meaningful platform for wounded, injured, and sick service personnel and veterans. Birmingham 2027 could be a chance for Harry to return to Britain in a context where his contribution is serious and respected. But it also creates risk. If King Charles attends, the focus could shift from veterans to body language. If Meghan attends, the focus could shift to wardrobe status and whether the British public welcomes her. If William stays away, that becomes the headline. If William attends, that becomes the headline. The very presence of the Sussex royal drama can overwhelm the cause Harry most needs to protect. That is why some royal observers argue that there may need to be another private family step before Invictus. If the next public image of Charles, Harry, and Meghan together happens in the middle of a major veterans event, the event could become a royal theatre. The smarter path would be to normalize contact quietly, without cameras and without dramatic briefings. Let the family rebuild privately so that public appearances do not have to carry the full weight of reconciliation.
A public relations machine which decided to attack me just a few days ago, an attack from which I am still reeling and from which my head is still spinning. So we can see what's happening here. We've got Project Diana and we've got Meghan being royal again and following the letter of the law with King Charles by not publishing any photographs, not saying anything public.
But that requires discipline, and discipline has not always been the Sussex brand. The security issue is part of this too. Harry has argued for years that bringing his family to the UK is difficult without appropriate protection. That concern is not imaginary. He is a famous royal. and threats exist. But the Highgrove visit showed that a carefully controlled private visit can happen when the destination is a protected royal property and the planning is sensible. That weakens the idea that Britain is completely impossible for the Sussex family under all circumstances. It does not solve the entire security dispute, but it does change the tone. If Harry can come for private family contact, the argument shifts from impossible to conditional. This is where Charles's motives become important. The king is not only a monarch calculating headlines, he is a father in his late 70s who has been dealing with cancer. It is entirely plausible that illness has concentrated his mind. He may not want to leave this wound unresolved. He may want to know his grandchildren while he can. He may believe that forgiving Harry does not mean approving of everything Harry has done. That is a human instinct, and it deserves some sympathy. A king can be hurt, angry, cautious, and still want to see his son. But a monarch's forgiveness can create institutional consequences. The late Queen Elizabeth II was clear in 2020 that Harry and Meghan could not be half in and half out. They could not commercialize royal status while also functioning as working royals. That principle protected the crown from exactly the kind of blurred arrangement now being discussed again. If Harry returns to the UK for charity work, stays in royal residences, meets the king privately, attends Invictus, and Meghan uses Duchess status in commercial life abroad, the palace will have to explain where the line actually sits. Is this family contact? Is it quasi-royal activity? Is it a soft reversal of Megxit? Or is it simply a messy compromise no one wants to define? The danger is that undefined arrangements benefit the Sussexes more than the monarchy. Ambiguity lets Harry appear royal when it helps and independent when accountability is inconvenient. It lets Meghan sell a lifestyle identity with royal shine while avoiding royal duty. It lets the couple say they want an ordinary family life while keeping titles for themselves and their children. It lets them reject the institution emotionally while drawing value from it commercially. That is why the palace needs clarity. If the line is not drawn, the line will be moved by publicity. Sir Clive Alderton's planned departure adds another layer. Alderton, King Charles and Queen Camilla's principal private secretary.
To Meghan, I think they'll never forgive her for that Netflix show where she mocked the Queen by bowing down. You know, I don't think people will ever forget that. And I think they feel that she rather stole Harry away from them. He was very, very popular before he met her. So I hate to say it, but I think that if she did actually sort of interact with normal members of the public, she would probably get some abuse. And I think she knows that. And that's why I said she would never come back. So she's come back, but in a very, very limited way and in very private meetings. It was also suggested that they went on.
Has been one of the most important figures in the royal household for years and was closely associated with the management of the Sussex crisis. Harry portrayed certain palace officials very negatively in Spare, including by giving insect nicknames to courtiers, and Alderton was widely understood to be among the figures Harry distrusted. His coming exit does not prove a new pro-Harry policy, but it does create a moment of transition. A new senior advisor may inherit a very difficult question. How much room should Harry be given before the institution is exposed again? There is a temptation to see every palace staffing change as part of a secret Harry strategy. That would be too neat. Royal households are workplaces, and people leave for many reasons. Still, timing matters in public perception. Alderton's departure comes as Charles appears more open to controlled family contact with Harry. Some will see that as coincidence. Others will see it as an opportunity for a softer line. Either way, the next phase will require more than goodwill. It will require a framework strong enough to survive Meghan's ambition, Harry's resentment, media pressure, public skepticism, and William's future authority. William is the long-term obstacle. Charles may want peace with his younger son, but William is the future of the monarchy. His relationship with Harry appears far more damaged, and there is no sign that a simple family tea can repair it. William has watched Harry publicly criticize the institution, the family, and Catherine. He has watched private matters become global entertainment. He has also had to protect his own family through an intensely difficult period, including Catherine's health battle. For William, reconciliation is not just about emotion, It is about whether Harry can ever again be trusted near the centre of the institution William will inherit. When William becomes king, the Sussex question may be handled less like a family wound and more like a constitutional problem. Charles may tolerate ambiguity because he is Harry's father. William may not. He may decide that the monarchy needs a firmer boundary around titles, residences, public appearances, and commercial uses of royal identity. That does not mean he can simply strip titles with a wave of his hand. Titles, styles, and succession involve law, prerogative, government advice, and in some cases, parliamentary action. But a future King William could set a different tone from day one. The message could be simple: private family contact is one thing, public royal adjacency for profit is another. The Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor situation shows how complex these questions can become. In 2025, Buckingham Palace initiated the formal process to remove Andrew's style, titles, and honours. And official records later reflected the removal of his prince title and HRH style. Yet, line of succession questions are harder because they touch the law of the United Kingdom and other Commonwealth realms where the monarch is head of state.
I think he knows that time is short. He doesn't want to, he has been undergoing this cancer treatment, and that's probably concentrated his mind. None of us know how long he's got left. There'll be many years to come, and I think he's doing a very good job as king. But I think that's probably concentrated his mind. I mean, ironically, Highgrove is the house that he always wanted Harry to have, and had Harry stayed here,
Wow.
I'm sure he would have lived there with Meghan at quite a fair bit of the time. The king obviously has got all these other properties now that he's king.
Once the state begins altering succession for one controversial figure, people ask why others remain. That does not mean Harry and his children are in the same position as Andrew. They are not. But the broader lesson is that royal status is not merely decorative. It has legal, political, and symbolic consequences. This is why Archie and Lilibet's titles are part of the conversation, even though the children themselves should be kept out of harsh commentary. They are young and did not choose any of this. But they are Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, growing up in California, outside the ordinary training and limits of royal life, while remaining in the line of succession. That arrangement may be manageable while they are children. It could become more complicated when they are adults. If the Sussex family continues to operate as a celebrity royal household in America, the palace may eventually face questions about how royal titles function when disconnected from royal duty. This is the seed of what some commentators call a rival royal court. The phrase sounds dramatic, but the concern beneath it is real. The monarchy depends on hierarchy. There is one sovereign, one direct line of succession, one official household structure, and one public understanding of who represents the crown. If a parallel royal adjacent family uses titles, royal memories, Diana symbolism, philanthropic tours, celebrity events, and commercial media from outside the palace's control, it can confuse the brand of monarchy. It may not threaten the constitution, but it can threaten clarity. Harry and Meghan have already shown how that confusion works. Their visits to places like Nigeria, Colombia, Jamaica, and other high-profile international settings have sometimes looked like royal tours, even though they are not official representatives of the crown. They meet influential people, attend cultural events, give speeches, and carry the aura of royalty. Host countries and organizations often treat them with ceremonial respect because they are famous royals, even though they are not working royals. The palace cannot easily stop them doing that, but it also cannot fully control how those appearances are interpreted. That is why Charles's reconciliation effort is risky. A warmer relationship with Harry may reduce personal pain, but it may also make the Sussex quasi-royal model look more legitimate. If Meghan can say, or even imply, that she has recently sat with the King and Queen at Highgrove, her standing changes in elite rooms, if Harry can stay in royal residences while pursuing commercial and legal battles outside the institution, his status becomes more flexible.
So I think he's somebody who doesn't like division. He doesn't like, he doesn't like arguments particularly. He likes to have a sort of relatively sort of stable life. And undergoing cancer as he is at the moment, he wants as less, as I've just mentioned, he wants as less stress as possible. So
If the children visit royal homes while being raised in celebrity culture, the future boundary becomes less clear. The palace may think it is offering family mercy. The Sussex brand may receive institutional oxygen. The counter-argument is that cutting them off entirely creates its own danger. If Charles refuses all contact, Harry may become more bitter. Meghan may eventually write her own memoir. More documentaries, interviews, and claims could follow. The children might grow up entirely separated from their British family. The king's final years could be marked by unresolved conflict. From that perspective, controlled contact may be the least bad option. Better to open a small private channel than to leave the Sussexes outside with nothing to lose. That may be Charles's calculation, and it is not irrational. But controlled contact works only if both sides accept the control. The palace can set conditions. It can refuse photos. It can insist on secrecy. It can limit public details. But if Meghan or Harry later use even the aura of the meeting for their own public purposes, the control is weakened. That is why Martha Stewart's dinner party anecdote matters, even if the denial is true. It reveals the vulnerability of the arrangement. A private meeting can remain technically private and still become socially useful. Meghan does not have to leak a transcript to benefit from people knowing she was there. Sometimes proximity alone is the product. That is also why People magazine's role is interesting. People has often been seen as friendly territory for the Sussexes. It publishes sympathetic coverage, personal details, exclusive family angles, and softer features about Meghan's projects. Yet the Stewart story and the denial both appeared there, making the magazine a kind of battleground for competing narratives. One version says Meghan was talking about the trip, another version says she barely mentioned it. The platform itself gives the dispute oxygen. It is a reminder that Sussex-friendly media can still produce stories that create problems, because once public interest is high enough, even friendly coverage can become combustible. The birthday content around the same period did not help. Meghan's 45th birthday posts, including pool photographs and a kitchen video filmed with Harry nearby, kept her in the headlines for reasons that had little to do with public service or serious work. To fans, it was playful and harmless. To critics, it looked self-focused and strategically timed after a trip that had restored a degree of royal proximity. The details themselves are not the story. The story is that every visual signal now feeds a larger question about whether Meghan is trying to become royal again in the marketplace while remaining outside royal obligations. This is where the Sussex professional divorce idea becomes outdated. For a while, it looked as though Harry and Meghan were separating their brands. Harry would be Invictus, veterans, security, lawsuits, and mental health. Meghan would be lifestyle, podcasting, streaming products, and celebrity entrepreneurship. But the weakness of each lane has pushed them back together. Harry's legal and charitable image has been dented. Meghan's commercial ventures remain contested. Each needs what the other has. Harry needs Meghan's energy and media instinct. Meghan needs Harry's royal identity. Their shared brand may be strained, but it is also their strongest remaining asset. That does not mean their marriage is in trouble or stable. Outsiders cannot know that. It means their public incentives are aligned in a complicated way. Harry provides the royal access. Meghan gives that access a modern media shape. Harry carries the Diana wound.
I'm sure a photograph of them all was taken so that they have a photograph of themselves with their granddad. That they will treasure that. But if that ever got leaked out, or if any of the details ever got leaked out, it would set them back completely again. We'd be back to square one.
Yes, and my view, Phil, is that what we've seen with the Duchess of Sussex is something very clever in regard to this UK return. I mean, I think it's a triumph for her, PR-wise, to get back to the UK, to meet the King, and to be on royal property. I found that particularly significant because there is a degree of forgiveness.
Meghan turns emotional symbolism into content. Harry brings the line to the throne. Meghan brings the lifestyle audience. Together, they remain more powerful than they are apart, even when the public reaction is negative. Criticism still produces attention, and attention still has commercial value. The problem is that attention without trust becomes corrosive. The Sussexes can always generate headlines, but each headline now comes with skepticism. Did they leak? Did they brief? Did they stage it? Did they use the children? Did they invoke Diana? Did they follow protocol? Did they exaggerate? Did they misunderstand? Did they commercialize? These questions follow them because they have spent years moving between privacy and publicity without a stable rule. The public no longer knows when to take them as a family and when to take them as a production company. That is the challenge of any future royal return. Harry can return as a son. He can return as a father bringing his children to see their grandfather. He can return as the founder of Invictus. He can return as a patron of causes that mattered to him before he left. But he cannot return as a working royal without reopening the half-in, half-out question the late Queen rejected. Meghan can visit family privately. She can support Harry at events. She can bring the children. But if those visits become fuel for, as ever, streaming, memoirs, podcasts, or celebrity status, the palace will eventually have to respond. The late Queen's position still matters because it remains the cleanest principle. You are either serving the crown or you are not. That does not mean family members are exiled from private contact. It means royal status cannot become a pick and mix arrangement where duty is optional and prestige remains profitable. Charles may be trying to soften the human side without surrendering the institutional side. That is a difficult needle to thread. William may decide one day that it cannot be threaded at all. So the real question after Martha Stewart's remarks is not whether Meghan said too much at a dinner party. The truth of that specific claim may remain disputed. The real question is whether Harry and Meghan can change the behaviour that made the allegation believable to so many people. Can they accept private access without turning it into social currency? Can they stop treating every royal connection as material? Can they allow the children to have a relationship with their grandfather that is not instantly absorbed into the Sussex story? Can Harry repair trust before William inherits the problem? For Meghan, the advice is obvious but difficult. Say less, let the work speak. If as ever is serious, build it through quality, not royal hints. If the family trip mattered, keep the most meaningful parts private. If Highgrove was a genuine reconciliation moment, protect it. There is far more power in being trusted with silence than in being known for access. The irony is that silence would make Meghan look more royal than any title, tiara reference, Diana-coded photograph, or California dinner anecdote ever could. For Harry, the task is even harder because it requires humility. He needs to prove that reconciliation is not another chapter in a campaign of vindication. He needs to stop letting every frustration become public theatre. He needs to protect Invictus from the family drama around him. He needs to understand that Charles's kindness is not the same as institutional permission. A father may forgive, a monarchy still has to survive. King Charles is gambling on love, time, and controlled discretion. He wants to know his grandchildren. He wants peace with his son. He may also believe that keeping Harry close enough is safer than leaving him completely outside. But the risk is obvious. If the Sussexes use royal access as brand fuel, the king will look naive, the palace will look weak, and William will inherit a more complicated problem. If they keep the trust, however, a narrow family bridge may survive. That is why this controversy matters. It is not about whether Meghan said one sentence or 10 at dinner. It is not about whether Martha Stewart meant to criticize her. It is not even about whether Highgrove marks the beginning of a real reconciliation. It is about the oldest royal rule in a modern media age. Access is precious because it is private. The moment it becomes currency, it loses its sanctity. Harry and Meghan have been given another chance to prove they understand that. The next leak, the next hint, the next carefully timed image, or the next commercial project built on royal proximity will tell us whether they have learned anything at all.